So another sort of activity that occupational therapy is involved in is obviously people getting in and out of bed. When people start to have problems getting in and out of bed, it's often due to the fact that they've got abdominal problems, muscle tone is low, and also they've got difficulties with lifting their legs. Typically somebody with Parkinson's disease, for instance, loses their bed mobility once in bed, so they can't actually get into bed because they can't move. So you need to actually identify what the problems are. Somebody with Parkinson's disease, for instance, they've got nice flannelette sheets, and they've got nice flannelette pyjamas, and they're not going to move. Once they actually sit on the bed, they can't do anything. What you're looking for with somebody with Parkinson's disease is perhaps some silkiness. So you're looking for nylon sheet and perhaps cotton pyjamas, or a cotton sheet and nylon pyjamas, and that way the nylon will slide. We obviously, if there's any further problems in relation to that, you will need a specialist OT assessment. But on the whole, what people do, the problems with beds is often that the bed is too low. This bed has actually been raised, and these are called St Helier raisers. So the caster has been removed. We've got a triangular block put in there, and we've got two little raisers. So this has been raised particularly for a reason to enable us to get a hoist underneath this bed. But often you would do, this is 75 mils and another 75 mils. So, and that would enable a hoist to go underneath. But generally you'd only need to raise a bed about 100 mil, 4 inches. Again, as with the chair, you need to actually think about the giveness of the mattress. So if somebody's having difficulty getting out of bed and it's too low, this is often the problem, is they may need to consider getting a different mattress. But if you're going to measure for a height of the bed, you need to then consider that you need to compress the mattress to measure the client's leg length, and then measure the mattress, and then you need to work out the height that you want to do. Again, some people are very concerned about the fact that if you've raised it, it's not going to be moved, you can't move it again to vacuum underneath it. Often what people, a lot of what people have problems with is that they sit on the bed and then they can't get their legs up. And the reason, often the reason for that is, as I said, about poor abdominal tone, and also the legs. Perhaps their legs have just got heavy and they're just getting older. One of the things that you can use is something called a leg loop, and that helps somebody actually lift their leg up. So somebody can do that. 1, 2. Right, I help that along. They won't need it for getting out of bed because they use gravity to get out of bed. So the main problem about getting out of bed, sometimes people need an extra bit of support when actually getting up from laying to sitting, and also sometimes getting into bed. And often we use something called a bed stick for that. So we can use bed rails. This bit goes underneath the mattress, and the client actually pulls on this. I can't stress enough how important it is that you have assessed the mattress and the client. This gap between here is a regulatory gap, right? Because there have been fatalities where people have managed to get their head or a limb through here, and also their head between this bar and the mattress. If a mattress is particularly squashy, if you think of somebody who's got dementia or somebody in their sleep just doing that, they can get underneath here. So you really do need to risk assess every single assessment that you do and every provision. So if I'm considering issuing something like this, you need to know about the client, the activities of the client. You need to make sure that the mattress, for instance, isn't too squashy. And when it's fitted, you do need to actually make sure that you're happy, that no entrapment can happen. There's there's an enormous amount of literature about entrapment, and I'll tell you a story about the beds that we don't issue in Croydon. But what happened was that somebody fell out of bed. It was an up and down bed, but once you hit the down button, it continued. Often what we would do is we would press, and if you release the down button, then the bed will stop. But this didn't happen. The person fell out of bed, they hit the down button on the bed as they went down, and they lay underneath the bed, and they were crushed. So you always need to think about what you're going to do, what's the worst scenario that that person can do. So you've got a human element here, and you've got a risk. Something as simple as this can change somebody's life and enable them to get in and out of bed. But something as simple as this can also kill them. So you need to take into consideration your provision. As well as noting the mattress, this type of bed is a divan bed. But you can also, and something like that bedstick will be able to fit on here quite well. But sometimes you come up against wooden slatted beds, and something like the bedstick will not work. So you need to actually think about a rail for slatted beds. You do need to, as I say, be very hands-on and make sure that what the bed is and what the mattress is like. So you really do need to know what your provision is. You can't rely on the Croydon community equipment stores fitting something and then taking responsibility for it. The responsibility is yours. If it's a slatted bed, you wouldn't normally put a bed stick on there. You'd need a rail for slatted beds. So do take a note of what type of bed it is. You do come across some old iron beds as well with springs and things. And again, the intake team will be able to help you in relation to that. But as long as you've noticed it, then that's the important thing. It's observation. And also you need to see how the client is actually managing. So again, as with the toilet, as with the chair, you need to see the person sit, swing their legs in and see how they're managing.